Winfield was born in 1970. He's from upstate New York. He did not like conventional sports at all. He was more interested in skateboarding and surfing. He was in 5th grade when he started snowboarding. It was the 1980s. The next year, 1981, he went out to Whistler, British Columbia, and became a pro at that competition. He moved to the Rocky Mountains and became a leader of the jib movement. Jibbing is basically when you do tricks off anything possible. Stan Eve started photographing and filming wrestle. As a kid, all the other kids would make fun of him because he's black. He wanted to hurt them, but he didn't. Instead, he said he would do something amazing, and he did. Then he wanted to start teaching how to skateboard, surf, and last but definitely not least, snowboard. And he got the job.
The Tuskegee Airmen were the first black pilots in the Air Force. It began in 1941 and ended in 1949. They trained in Tuskegee, Alabama. Over time, there were 14,000 Tuskegee Airmen. They were determined to join the war. They were proud, they were quick to learn, and they didn't hesitate. According to historic records, they had to put up with discrimination on and off their military bases. Charles Alfred Anderson was an American aviator and instructor and was known as the father of black aviation. He was born February 9, 1907, and died April 13, 1996. He taught many of the Tuskegee Airmen. The Tuskegee Airmen made history for black Americans and proved that patriotism does not always look the same.
In 1776, women were not allowed to vote. It was like women couldn't do anything. It was unfair, so they started to protest. They did not stop protesting until they got the right to vote. It took 100 years to get the right to vote. We call it the women's suffrage movement. The movement was led by Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Susan B. Anthony. The year of 2020 is the 100th anniversary of the event. In 1920, they finally got the right to vote. They were so happy to get the right to vote. Even though we're all allowed to vote now, there are still some things that need to be worked on. Some countries don't let people vote, but people are working to fix that.
Emma Watson was born in Paris, France, 1990. Her parents divorced when she was 5 years old. After that, she moved to Oxfordshire, England with her mother and younger brother Alex. There, she entered the Dragon School. It is a boarding school, but they did not study dragons. They work on languages and other things to help students get a good education. Emma was a huge Harry Potter fan when the producers announced they were making the movies. The auditions were held in her school gym. She had her picture taken. Shortly after, she got the call asking her if she would like to audition. A few days later, they said she was cast as Hermione. A couple of years later, she graduated Dragon School and entered Headington School. After doing the 3rd and 4th movie, she starred in the movie Ballet Shoes. In 2008, she started dating Jay Barrymore and was the voice of Princess P in the animated movie Tale of the Sparks. In 2009, she entered Brown University for a degree in English literature while filming the 6th Harry Potter movie. From 2010 to 2011, she filmed the last Harry Potter movie. In 2014, she started her He for She campaign, a movement encouraging women and girls to speak out for gender equality. He for She has 2,243,516 commitments and 3.33 million social media conversations and 1.1k community events. She's also a UN Goodwill Ambassador.
The Harlem Renaissance was one of the hottest times in art. There was Ella Fitzgerald, Billie Holiday, Louis Armstrong, and Nina Simone, and more. The Cotton Club was in NYC. The Cotton Club was so popular until the Civil War. But the Cotton Club was where you go swing dancing and the Civil War was ballroom. So much came out of the Harlem Renaissance, not just poems and music and poems and art. When people heard that music, they wanted to dance and listen. One of my favorite songs by Ella is Georgia on My Mind. But this time in Black history wasn't just jazz, amazing scat and bebop. Harlem was a hot spot for jazz and rock. The movement was not just in Harlem, some of it was in Paris. Did you know the Harlem Renaissance was actually called the Negro Movement? This movement began in 1920. It was a time to embrace and add new black art. Ella was the king of scat. Ella worked with some of the biggest stars at the time like Louis Armstrong. Ella could do amazing things with her voice. She could sing high and low notes, and she could dance. Ella was born April 29th in Newport News, Virginia. Ella made cheerful music. Ella was fun and jazzy. Ella wanted to be a dancer, so she went to Harlem to pursue her dream. She won a contest at the Apollos received. That is how Ella became famous. Nina Simone is also another jazz great. She started playing music at a young age, and she was a piano genius. She started at church, and she took off from there. Her real name is Eunice Kathleen Raymond. Nina was a part of the Civil Rights Movement. This is the Harlem Renaissance in short, that time was amazing. I wish I could have been there to hear the music live, but I know.
Rachel Carson was both a scientist and a writer. Rachel was born on May 27, 1907 in Springdale, Pennsylvania. Rachel was a marine biologist and a writer. Her first publication came out in 1964. Her first marine biology work was at a marine laboratory in 1929. She met the love of her life named Delphine Freeman. In 1953, on an island he remained. She had a sister named Mary and a brother named Robert. Carson died of cancer at age 56. She studied insects and birds. She also studied fish in the ocean. She loved to work on the water.
Thurgood Marshall was born in Baltimore, Maryland in 1908. Charles Houston was Marshall's inspiration. Charles' job was a lawyer. He was the first African-American lawyer, to be exact. He inspired Marshall to go to law school. Marshall's school was named Howard University School of Law, located on Washington Van Ness Street. After working as a lawyer for many years, Lyndon B. Johnson was the president that appointed Thurgood Marshall to become Supreme Court Justice. He was nominated in 1967. Marshall served for 24 years, retiring in 1991. The big issue that Marshall struggled with was promoting equality in the civil rights movement. He played a big, important role. His mother, Norma, was a kindergartner teacher. His father, William, worked as a steward. Marshall's grandfather was a slave during the Civil War. He escaped and gained freedom during the Civil War. Thurgood and his wife, Cecilia Seward Marshall, had two kids, Thurgood Marshall Jr. and John W. Marshall. Thurgood Marshall Jr. worked as a lawyer, and John W. Marshall worked as a police officer. Their father, Thurgood Marshall, was an inspiration to them, and many more. Not only that, Marshall was the first African-American Supreme Court Justice, but he fought for equality for all.
Thomas Wister Hyde was born in Florence, Italy on January 16, 1841. When he was 44, he founded Bath Iron Works in 1884. Bath Iron Works, which is located in Bath, Maine. Bath Iron Works had been making wooden boats for quite some time, and only a few iron boats like the six-masted coal freighters. Bath Iron Works had soon become Maine's shipbuilding center. On February 28, 1890, Bath Iron Works won its first contract for complete vessels, 2 iron gunboats for the Navy. One of them was a 190-foot ship called the Machias. It was the first ship launched by Bath Iron Works. Sadly, Thomas died on December 14, 1899, not long after they launched the 2 gunboats. But the company kept on going and is still in business today. Bath Iron Works is well known for making destroyers, but have you ever heard of stealth destroyers? The USS Zumwalt is stealthy, but it's also 600 feet long and is the biggest destroyer Bath Iron Works has ever made. Bath Iron Works is a pretty old company and has evolved quite a bit since it was created. This company has progressed very much since they first started making boats.
On August 13, 1860, a famous markswoman was born. Her name was Phoebe Ann Moses, also known as Annie Oakley. She was born in Dark Country, Ohio. When Annie was 5, there was a blizzard and the family had ran out of food. Her dad went out to get some, and it was a long time before he returned. He had frostbite so bad he lost his legs. At the end of winter, he died. At 5 years old, Annie took after her father and made traps for food. When she was 8, she got her dad's rifle and went into the woods. She shot a rabbit on first try. One day, a person came and said they needed help on their farm. They promised that Annie would go to school, but she didn't. It was all work, and she got slapped a lot. Annie ran away and went back home. When Annie was 15, she got invited to a shooting performance. She was going up against Frank Butler, who was a really good marksman. Frank shot 24 targets, but Annie shot all 25. Frank was so wooed by her shooting that he proposed, and she said yes. Annie met Sitting Bull, a famous Native American warrior who nicknamed her Little Sure Shot and adopted her. Annie was so good when someone threw a playing card in the air, she could shoot right through the middle. She did a lot more performances. Then, at the age of 53, in 1926, she died.
Wendy Carson is the eclipse photographer and a composer. She was born on November 14, 1939, in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. She's 81 years old now. She moved to New York, went to Columbia University, where she got her master's degree, and met Robert Moog. He invented the Moog synthesizer. A synthesizer is like an electric keyboard. In 1970, Wendy won 3 Grammy Awards for her album, Switched on Broadway. She worked for Disney and other movies. She was not just a musician, but she was an eclipse photographer and a trans woman. She inspired a lot of people.
Maine is a beautiful place because of the animals, food, plants, and rocks. These things make Maine different from other places. The chickadee is the Maine state bird. Moose is the Maine state animal. They are big. A honeybee is yellow and black. There are a lot in Maine. Honeybee is Maine's state insect. Lobsters are a big part of Maine. More lobsters are caught in Maine than any other place. White pine cones are the state flower, and the white pine tree is Maine's state tree. Mount Katahdin is the highest mountain in Maine. It is 5,269 feet. These are a few highlights of the state of Maine.